Welcome back to True Crime with Yvonne. We're going to dive into the case of Steward Wilken. He was a South African cannibal serial killer. Steward was born November 11th, 1996. He was born in an area called Botsburg in South Africa. He lived a life of abuse and abandonment from the age of 6 months. His mom left him with this man named Duke at a very early age, and she never returned. I'm unsure if this man was his dad. Along with Steward, she left his sister, and somehow she disappeared during the time that he was there. At the age of 2, the neighbors noticed how unkempt and malnourished Steward was. So they decided to speak to Steward's quote-unquote dad, which is Duke. She complained to Duke, but she saw that he didn't care much. He later was adopted by the neighbors. He didn't even have a proper name. He called himself Booty Boer, which is translated as Brother Farmer. Life went well until he started exhibiting behavioral problems at school, which spilled over at home. At school, he was bullied for being adopted by the kids and teachers. They never made him feel secure or protected. This one teacher who always made the kids bullied Steward. One day, as they were doing the bullying, Steward decided to retaliate. He hit the teacher. The kids were surprised. However, the teacher never reported it. The teacher knew that if he did report it, there's a possibility that he would have gotten fired. According to Steward, he said his adopted dad left the household and later he died. According to Steward, he remembered having a great relationship with his adopted dad. Things got tough on his mom. She seems to be frustrated with him, angry. She never showed confidence in him. Whenever the school came and made complaints about him, she always believed their side. One time, he got a complaint from the school and his mom locked him in the room. Steward then destroyed everything in sight. After that, his mom would lock him in the cupboards so he wouldn't destroy her furnitures. Of course, Steward was not happy. Steward would often bite his mom and wet his bed. I think he had a deep-rooted behavioral problem, psychological problem, because remember, he was abused at as early as 6 months. So whatever that was in him couldn't be rehabilitated. And the mom, she had no idea or no knowledge of how to take care of this child. There came a time when Steward felt so alone that he decided he wanted to be his own mom and his dad and his aunt and his own friend, because no one loved him. He just felt all alone in this world. He was then set off to boarding school. I'm assuming he was not able to be contained at school or at home, and the mom definitely had enough of him. Who wouldn't? It was reported that Steward was raped by the church deacon, someone he had trusted and was supposed to protect him. He felt helpless in this world. At reform school, things didn't get better. He was about 9 years of age by now. His first day at reform school, they placed him in solitary confinement naked. Steward couldn't believe that his adopted mother would betray him. In the school, he was abused sexually and physically by the older boys. He decided to run away, but didn't go far because the school was located in the middle of the forest. So I can just imagine what could have gone wrong if he had gone any further. And he's just a little boy. He's 9 years of age. He decided to turn back. Now he's about 19, 20 years of age. He's in the 11th grade. He decided that, he's a big man. You know that I didn't say it earlier, but he was left back about 3 times. So he also had intellectual problems. He was much older than the children, so that's a possibility. That's why they were making fun of him. So in the 11th grade, he decided to enroll in the army. Within 4 years, he was discharged 4 months later because he attempted to unalive himself. When he returned home, his mom was not happy. He was all grown. She didn't want to see him in her house anymore. She knew how troublesome he was. He decided to leave his home. He tried to be a better person, but it was short-lived. At 25, he married a lovely woman by the name of Lynn. However, the marriage was chaotic. He would accuse her of being a prostitute. They had 2 children. They often fought. One day, Lynn had enough of it, and she reported to the police that he would smoke marijuana in the presence of the children, and they had a divorce. The wife got custody of the kids, and Steward went his own way. They had their first child, and her name was Wayne. This will be insignificant because later on you'll see what he did to Wayne. This was in 1985. His second wife, her name was Veronica. Things were going fine at first, as usual. In every relationship, it's all lovey-dovey. And then, just like his first wife, he was physically abusive to her. He was verbally abusive. He would call her prostitute. Soon, this marriage ended. But before it ended, he had 2 daughters, and the wife had 2 previous sons. The 2 sons, the wife's mother suspected Steward of abusing the boys, and that made them didn't have such a great relationship, so they divorced. When Steward got upset at his wife, he would go to the prostitute that we later find out that he disliked. After his last divorce, he went into the mountains to stay. He then became a fisherman. He said he loved the sea because it was like women. Women are dark, they are mysterious and very moody. Steward then started his murderous spree on February 15th, 1990. So now we're coming up on all the things that he did. Seems like he was going back in his mind to where he was a child and he was picking these people who he didn't like too much, or he wanted to rescue them. Okay, so he first met a 15-year-old Montefigo in a park, and he sodomized him, strangled him with his own clothes. Montefigo was homeless and lived in the streets of Port Elizabeth. So that's his first victim. October 3rd, 1990, he met a 25-year-old prostitute. Her name was Virginia Gilman. Virginia wanted to get paid before any business. Steward objected. He took her to a local school and requested anal. She then refused and expressed to him that he is hurting her. He got very angry and started strangling Virginia. After unaliving Virginia, he left her body on the school premise for the children to find. On the 10th of January 1991, Marcia Poppin approached Steward outside a hotel called Breadline. He offered to take her to St. George's Park. Marcia wanted to be paid upfront like his previous victim. That got him angry. He strangled and raped her, then killed her. In October 1991, Steward met a 14-year-old homeless boy. He wanted to be paid for his sexual activity before the act. Again, Steward was filled with rage. He tried to strangle him. The boy ran away. However, Steward overpowered him, strangled him, then killed him. For 2 years, Steward did not do anything. He was very peaceful. But somehow in 1993, he convinced a young boy to have intercourse. He took him to a Target 12, had intercourse, and strangled him with his own clothes, then threw his clothing into the river. Again, on July 27, 1995, 42-year-old prostitute Georgina, he took her to a park, had intercourse, but while having intercourse, he confessed it was not appealing. He then asked to have anal. She refused. Again, he strangled Georgina until she was unconscious. While unconscious, he took a knife and raped her with it, pulling it in and out, digging it in her private area. She bled out. He also stabbed her 20 times in the chest area. Here, he started something that he didn't do with the others. He started eating her nipples. He collected her things and threw them in the pond. September 29th, 1995, he visited his ex-wife and kids. His older daughter, he killed her because he believed that her stepdad was molesting her and he wanted to put her out of her misery. May 25th, 1995, 22-year-old prostitute Katrina Clarkson. He took her to the beach. They had intercourse. He pushed a plastic down her throat so no one could hear her. He strangled her, ate pieces of her body, and then left her on the beach. Between May and August 1996, he met a street kid. The kid was not interested, but Steward insisted. He strangled and sodomized him in Frederick Park in Eastern Cape. Finally, we're going to get a break in these cases. He met another woman who was married with a son. His name was Henry Baker. January 22nd, 1997, Steward murdered Henry Baker. He sexually assaulted him and then killed him. Henry was now a missing child. The police suspected it was Steward Wilken because he was the last person seen with the child. They arrested him and questioned him. While they were questioning him, he immediately confessed. He confessed to strangling and killing Steward. He also made some other confessions. The police was in disbelief, so Steward took them to the spots. He told the police that he placed butter and vinegar on the feet of his victims so that the cadaver dogs couldn't pick up the scent of the dead bodies. He admitted he would revisit these bodies to eat them. The police noticed newspaper in the corpse. Well, Steward told them that the newspaper kept maggots out of the body. That made it much easier for him to go back and eat the dead bodies. On February 3rd, Steward was taken to court and charged with 7 counts of murders, 2 counts of sodomy. According to the psychologist, there was no room for rehabilitation. Because they didn't have any proof of some of the homeless killings, he was not charged for those murders or some of the bodies that he'd forgot where he buried them. So Steward was found guilty of murdering Henry Baker, Wayne, his daughter, Monty, and 4 other women. As for the homeless kids, like I said, he was not charged for them because they didn't have any proof. February 23rd, 1998, he was sentenced to 7 life terms in prison. I don't know what to say about Steward, guys. What do you think about Steward? I think he had a hard life. I don't know if his mom had noticed that he had a more deep-rooted problem, if she could have helped him out. Maybe for him to see a psychiatrist, for children at school and the adults to treat him with love. You know what they say, you need nature and nurture. You need the outside force. You also need the inside force to help you become a well-rounded person. He never had a chance. As early as 6 months, he was beaten. He was abused. And this was all he knew. Although at 2 years of age, I think he was rescued then, he still had it in his mind, the pictures, the pain that he endured. And it continued throughout his life. We know that he was a little bit delayed because he got left back about 3 times. So his mentality wasn't the same as other children. This is the reason why they made fun of him. Yes, they were children, but the adults in their lives never corrected them. So they continued, and he too hated children. He hated teenagers, as you see. His own daughter, they never said if he sexually abused her or if he went back and ate her body. But may their souls rest in peace, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.